Hard to believe the peace and quiet today, but back in the day, this was a very rough and tumble area, and it was filled with big ranches that people, well, scratched out a living here in the Penngrove area, doing whatever they could with cattle, lumber, etc. This particular road, Banyan Road, is named for the Banyan family. And back in 1872, actually July 18th, 1872, the Banyan Ranch was over here on this side, and the Looney Ranch was on this side of the road. Well, Mary Ann Kenney, who formerly known as Mary Ann Banyan of the Banyan Ranch here, she was very upset over a period of months. She had recently been married to a guy named Kenny, and she was very upset because she had turned down a former suitor by the name of Cummings, an Irish laborer who was 20 years old. And let's be clear, Mary Ann Kenney was a beautiful girl growing up as Mary Ann Banyan. She was feisty, 5'0", and she was a real fireball. And as she was getting ready for her marriage and then got married, Cummings, the spurned would-be suitor, started spreading vicious gossip around the Penngrove and communities here, the rancher community, that somehow Mary Ann Banyan was a pass-around pack, a prostitute and a woman of very loose morals. Unbelievably, so she was fearful that people in town would believe that, as people would in that day. So to quell the rumors, she told her newlywed husband, "Move out of the house. I can't have you be under a scourge here of suspicion about me. I just can't live that way. So just move out, leave me on my own. Let me get this thing figured out." Well, she figured it out in an unbelievable way. Not many people were warned of a murder before they committed, but for some months before the act in July of 1872, Mary Ann Kennedy had gone around town warning, especially Cummings, that you're going to get yours unless you retract those statements that you made. You're ruining my marriage. You're wreaking havoc on my name in the community. My father's ranch over here, and you know, I can hardly walk around town anymore without shielding my face in a bonnet, all because you spread vicious rumors about town. So I'm warning you now, unless you retract those statements that you made, that I am a woman of loose morals and had a history of prostitution and philandering with other men, I am going to kill you. On that fateful morning of July 18th, 1872, a young William Cummings, the spurned would-be suitor of Mary Ann Banyan, was making his way up this road towards what was known as Adobe Road at that time. Now remember, the Banyan Ranch is off to the left-hand side here, a very big estate, and over on the right-hand side you have the Looney Ranch over here. And as Cummings came up the road with his cart, driving his team in his cart to turn left here and go up towards Petaluma Hill Road, Sarah Looney, who was on the porch of her ranch house here, saw across the street young Mary Ann Kenney, at that time she was married, jump over the fence with a shotgun. She came out to the road, came up behind the cart that was coming up towards the turn here. She took that shotgun and fired 2 blasts. The first blast totally missed, and the second blast tore off 3/4 of William Cummings' head. Sarah Looney had witnessed what she believed was cold-blooded murder. Subsequent to the killing of Cummings, who was still barely alive, his team of horses automatically knew by instinct where to go, and they pulled off and took him to the ranch where he worked. Mary Ann Kenney went back in the house and told her father, I killed William Cummings out there today, and we need to go to the sheriff's office so I can turn myself in. This news, as it spread around town, was wildfire, and obviously this case was going to go to court, and it was going to be a high-profile court case because for the first time a woman was going to claim cause in the United States for someone who had defamed her character and been warned that he had to rectify the situation or face death. Now let's be totally clear of the facts of this case. Mary Ann Kenney never denied once that she killed William Cummings, nor did she try to plead a defense of insanity. She simply pled her case that her reputation had been ruined, her marriage had been ruined, her standing in the community had been ruined, and now she had to face a court that was composed at that time of all men, and never before in U.S. history had a woman who had, well, for all intents and purposes, premeditated murder ever been found innocent before of that crime until Mary Ann Kenney was found not guilty. And it created quite a case benchmark for further cases in the future where, due to extenuating circumstances and the misery impacted upon someone, that death seemed to be the only just response. Was it correct or not? You'll be the judge. Killing someone and then getting away with it, well, probably getting away with it is not the correct term to use, but it is kind of unbelievable that you can be so worked up that you can convince a jury, an all-male jury, that you were justified in the killing. So, as I said, it was a very strange case. Mary Ann Kenney went on to live a very productive life and eventually passed away in 1913, a pretty well-respected member of the community. As far as you see what used to be the Banyan Ranch over here and the Looney Ranch on this side, of course, they've been subdivided into estates. And I doubt anybody remembers that super important landmark case back in the 1870s of, well, what turned out to be, by a woman, justifiable homicide for the first time ever in the United States. And it happened right here in the small town of Penngrove, California. Hope you enjoyed this true crime California style. Please give me a thumbs up. Your comments are welcome down below, and thanks everybody for watching.